Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, we'll be talking about an atmospheric river event affecting California going through the weekend here and especially in through next week, followed by a very big warm up across the middle of the country, and that could be followed up by a significant storm system traversing the country that could bring anything from heavy snow to heavy rain and severe weather as we round out the month of February and move into early March. We'll detail all of that in today's weather forecast. Looking here out the door at the current weather conditions across the United States, and what you see is some heavier rain across portions of Florida here this morning. Around the Orlando area down toward Tampa there, we are seeing some heavier rains. Pretty dry across the middle and eastern two-thirds of the country outside of some lake effect snow affecting southeastern Canada this morning. And then there's that main push of moisture across the western U.S. bringing some higher elevation snows to the Pacific Northwest and the start of our atmospheric river moving closer toward the California coast going through the morning hours. Now let's look at our temperatures starting off this morning, because that cold front that did move through a couple of days ago has dropped all the way south to the Gulf Coast, and that has produced temperatures below freezing across much of the lower 48 here this morning. A lot of us from the Northeast through the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, and the northern tier of the United States are waking up to temperatures either into the teens or the 20s this morning. And when you factor in the wind chill values with the little breeze out there as you step out the door, those wind chill values are down into the single digits, either above or below zero in some of these areas across the north, especially as we go through the morning hours. But by the afternoon, we don't have any snow on the ground, so our temperatures will be nicely warming up as we go throughout the afternoon. Temperatures up into the 30s up here into the upper Midwest, the upper Great Lakes region, and the Northeast, and then we're seeing 40s, 50s down here to the south across the south central Great Plains, the Dixie Valley region, and the southeast here as we go through the afternoon time frame. If you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America throughout 2024, this is the channel for you with accurate weather forecasts upcoming. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and also press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. So let's zoom out the picture here this morning and show you the jet stream, and it's very active here across the north and central Pacific Ocean. Very strong connection here to moisture across the eastern and central Pacific. We have a very strong jet moving in to California today, and as we go through Tuesday early on in the week, that will continue to pump in moisture from the Pacific Ocean into the west coast, especially for central and southern California. And then starting by Thursday, I think later on in the week, we'll start to see that jet stream become more diffuse and start to weaken as it pushes a little bit further off to the east across the southern tier of the United States. So looking at the weather alerts this morning, not much happening, like I said, across the middle and eastern two-thirds of the country, but look out west, in particular California. We are keeping an eye on some of those flood watches and even winter storm warnings out for the Sierras as we are gearing up for either very heavy flooding rain or even some heavier snowfall. So looking through today, we do have that rain down there into Florida, so a pretty dreary Sunday down here across much of the state of Florida, outside of the Florida Panhandle here. Very wet there into the Jacksonville region, Orlando, Tampa, Naples, and even the Miami region, seeing some rainfall later on today. Lake effect snow up here into southeastern Canada and the upper Great Lakes region, mostly affecting Ontario and Quebec. And then looking off west across the western U.S., we have some higher elevation moisture, so that snowfall being wrung out there across portions of Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, and northern Utah around the Salt Lake City area today. As we go into tonight, we'll start to shut off some of that precipitation in the Pacific Northwest with some lingering flurries, but we'll start to enter into an active period for California and southwestern Oregon. Very heavy coastal rains here that could move into the Sacramento Valley. Very heavy snowfall here for the Sierra Nevada mountains, and that continues on Monday. Look at the very deep blue colors here across the Sierra Mountains into California. Very heavy snow will be ongoing through Monday. Tuesday, we continue to see rain. This day, we'll start to see rain further south, including more of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, the Long Beach area, and even San Diego as we go into your Tuesday time frame. And then Wednesday, another surge of moisture, bringing more heavy rain, more heavy snow there for the California region and the Pacific Southwest in general as we go through the midweek time frame. Now looking at our total precipitation in inches now through midweek. This takes us through Wednesday, February 21st. Very heavy rains down here for portions of Florida, so the Sunshine State will actually not be so sunshiny here over the next couple of days as we have some heavier rainfall. And then across portions there of California, we'll start to see more heavy rain with that atmospheric river. And look at all the rainfall amounts here showing up over 2 inches in a lot of the state here from Northern California down the Sacramento Valley here into coastal California, central California, and even some of that could work its way down toward Los Angeles and Santa Barbara and even the San Diego region as we go in towards the early and midweek time frame. This could be cause for concern as we have the flash flooding potential today into your Monday time frame. Over the next 24 hours, we have a slight to a moderate risk of flash flooding. That means scattered to numerous flash floods will be possible, even some mudslides out there. That will continue Monday into Tuesday there, and then as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, we start to see that flood threat lessen a little bit, but we still have that slight risk down there towards Santa Barbara and Los Angeles as we go in toward that midweek time frame. Now looking at Florida, we mentioned that the Sunshine State will not see a lot of sunshine over the next few days. Very heavy rain over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, and this will be from the Orlando region, Tampa, Naples, down here toward Fort Myers and Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, you name it. A lot of these areas will be seeing some very heavy rainfall through that midweek time frame, and you can see 1 to 3 inches here respectively across this region as we go through midweek. And then looking at snowfall amounts, you can see not much happening across the country except for out west here, across the Rockies, and really even the Rockies not seeing that much snowfall from the system. A lot of that moisture is going to be running into the Sierra Mountains out here in California. And yes, we could be talking about feet of snowfall in some of these areas, over 2, even 3 feet of snow just through Wednesday, February 21st for the Sierra. So very heavy snow out here, and this will cause some travel concerns. If you are traveling up in elevation into these areas in California, you'll be running into those major and extreme travel disruptions going through the early and midweek time frame. So definitely be bracing for that. Now, as we go through the week, temperature-wise, looking here at the overall pattern, you do see that trough out west bringing our atmospheric river, trough across the southeast bringing our heavy rain across Florida and the southeast coast, but in between we have a ridge of high pressure, and that typically brings drier weather but warmer weather across the week as we go here into the middle of the country. And so looking at our temperature anomalies, Monday the 19th as we go into tomorrow through Friday the 23rd, well above normal temperatures, and this is centered across the heartland of the country here, the Great Plains and into the upper Midwest. And looking at these temperatures, look at this, folks. We're in the 19th of February tomorrow, and we're into the 40s and 50s again up into the Midwest, 60s, some 70s being introduced across western and central Texas there. As we go into Monday, Wednesday, we start to ratchet up the heat just a little bit more. Our first 80s will be possible down here into Texas Hill Country here, especially toward Lubbock, Midland, and Abilene, Texas as we go into Wednesday. And then as we go into Friday, a backdoor cold front could send some colder air from southeastern Canada down through the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and interior New England. That could knock our temperatures down a little bit, but still across the south central and southeastern U.S., still going to be quite mild with a spring preview with our temperatures later on this week by Friday. Now looking here at the pattern, moving ahead toward the last week in February into the first day or so of March. Now a concerning look here on the upper level height map, and you can see that ridge of high pressure will be bringing drier conditions, but very warm, possibly record-breaking warmth across the eastern 2/3 of the United States, but also eastern Canada during this period between the 26th of February through the 1st of March there. But look out west. We have a cold air supply up here from northwestern Canada and the Arctics down through Alaska, portions there of the west coast, and moving in through the Rockies. And that could cause trouble as we have the atmosphere kind of working together and bringing a clash of the air masses here across the middle of the country, and that would actually make our temperatures very warm for the east. So you can see cooler out west with that trough coming in across the western third during that 26th of February through the 1st of March timeframe, and then anywhere east of the Rockies is fair game for well above normal temperatures, possibly even record warmth across the Midwest, the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes there, and into southeastern Canada. And then looking at this pattern again, you can see that trough out west here will actually begin to eject somewhere across the middle of the country during this time frame, and this could lead to a more significant, substantial storm system late February or that early March time frame. So looking at ensembles, we'll look at the three main grand ensemble models here. This is the GFS ensemble pressure map, and you can see in general, this gives you around an average of a 998 millibar low pressure across the Dakotas there. Why that's significant is this is an ensemble model. This takes an average of 51 members and averages out a 998 millibar low pressure. Those of you that don't know, a pressure under 1000 millibars is technically a strong low pressure system. And then the Euro ensemble, the ECMWF ensemble guidance at a 995 and a little bit more progressive into Wisconsin there with that low track. And then the Canadian ensemble, the CMC, looking at a little bit weaker and further south with the system at a 1003. So a lot of disagreements as expected, as we're about 7 to 10 days out from this event. So there's disagreement on the placement and the strength of the storm overall. But looking here at the precipitation setup and the potential for it, this could be bringing in cold enough air for a very narrow zone of some wintry precipitation. That could be heavy wet snow, that 10-to-1 ratio snow. We could be seeing some sleet and some freezing drizzle starting to mix in up here somewhere across the northern U.S. This could be across the northern plains. This could be across the upper Midwest or not at all. We'll see how that works out. But then to the south, I'm pretty confident we start to bring in a lot of warm, moist, and unstable air from the Gulf of Mexico up through the Mississippi Valley. And how far north that goes remains to be seen, but somewhere across the middle of the country here, we're going to have to watch out for A, heavy rainfall, B, flash flooding, and C, some severe weather as we go into late February and that early March timeframe. And looking at the setup for the potential for severe weather late February into early March, the dew points will be rising well into the 50s here on this particular model. That has it reaching southern Wisconsin, northeastern Iowa, and northern Illinois, and even Michigan during this period. Any dew points above 55 degrees Fahrenheit is fair game for instability for severe weather. The 60-degree dew points with higher confidence of some more unstable air further down to the south across the lower Mississippi Valley. And looking at this, this is your surface-based CAPE. This is convective available potential energy here in short. And what this means is basically energy for thunderstorms and thus the severe weather chances that could develop here across the Mississippi Valley. And it's pretty incredible to see that in late February, we're already seeing it this far north on the models, and 7 to 10 days out, we're seeing it this far north as well, and already up to around 1,000 joules per kilogram of energy, which is essentially at least weak instability for thunderstorms. Now we look at the kinematics with the wind profiles, and this looks a little bit more concerning here, as we could have a pretty nice bowling ball looking trough here, positively tilted, possibly trying to take a negative tilt by this time. Negatively tilted troughs technically bring the worst weather, whether that's a big winter storm or some significant severe weather. And you can see the 500 millibar mid-level jet stream is really screaming here across the Great Plains on up into the Midwestern regions. And then we look at the 850 millibar low-level jet. This could be something to watch for some tornado genesis here if this is maintained in the models over the next few days. We'll have to keep an eye on that. All of this that I just mentioned is subject to change as it is 7 to 10 days away, so take this with a grain of salt, but we just wanted to let you know that a significant storm system will be possible as we do get closer towards late February and early March. Now, looking at the wintry side of this, there is at least a 10, maybe a 20% chance of at least an inch or more of snowfall on the cold side of the system in a narrow zone here right now favoring Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin at that, through northern Iowa, Minnesota, the Dakotas, and down into northern Nebraska, and then obviously back there into the central Rockies. We will keep an eye on that as we do get closer to this event. And looking at the overall storm setup to get a visual in your mind of what this could look like, in the green here on the map, this is for heavy rainfall potential with this system. In the red, that could be severe weather from the Illinois Valley, the mid-Missouri Valley on south, down all the way to the Gulf Coast areas. And then on the northwest side in the blue here, this could be for some heavier wet snow, that 10-to-1 ratio snow. And that could mainly be on grassy surfaces, but this could be from the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin through Minnesota, the eastern Dakotas, down into Nebraska there, and into the Rockies on the northwest side of the system going towards late February and early March. Everything I just mentioned will keep you updated as we do get closer to this event. Feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. If you like today's weather forecast, make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.